Welcome to Reflecting God Today. This week we've been discussing how we can reflect God through different growths that we need, especially health. And today there's something that I want to get to you, so wherever that you are, if you can hear the sound of my voice, take this time out, maybe for 4 or 5 minutes to just see what kind of blessings God has in store for you. The Bible tells us in Daniel chapter 1, verse 18, that Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. We can have no right understanding of the subject of temperance until we consider it from the Bible's perspective. Because nowhere shall we find a more comprehensive and forcible illustration of what true temperance and true rejection of self-indulgence is, and its attendant blessings that it is afforded by the history of the child of God, Daniel, and his associates and his friends in the court of Babylon. You see, it wasn't their pride, it wasn't their ambition that brought these young men into the king's court. No, it was into the companionship of those who neither knew nor fear the true God. They didn't want to grow. They didn't want to be famous. They didn't want to be known for something. They were just captives in this land. And they were captives in a strange land, and in infinite wisdom, God placed them to where they were, right? And check this out. They considered their position, right? They considered it. They considered what rankings they might get and the difficulties and the dangers that it has. And then in the fear of God, they made their decision. And this is beautiful because in that time, they were trying to, the king wanted to see who was the best of the very best. And Daniel and his friends said, no, we want to focus on God. Even at the risk of the king's displeasure, they would be true to their God and to the religion of their fathers. They obeyed God's divine law, both natural and moral, and the blessing of God gave them strength, gave them comeliness, and gave them intellectual power. You see, these young people received a right education in their early lives, and now when they're separated from their home influences and their sacred associations, they honored the instructors of their childhood. With their habits of self-denial, their habits of self-denial was coupled with an earnestness of purpose, of diligence, and steadfastness. They had no time to squander in pleasure, vanity, or folly. They were not actuated by pride or unworthy ambition, but they sought to acquit themselves credibly for the honor of their own downtrodden people and for His glory by whose servants they were. You see, God always honors the right. The most promising individual of every single land was there at that time. And they were subdued by the great conqueror in Nebuchadnezzar, and they were gathered at Babylon. And yet, amidst all of them, all of the brightest students in the world, the Hebrew boys and Daniel were without a rival. The erect form, the firm elastic step, the fair countenance, showing that the blood was uncorrupted, the undimmed senses, the untainted breath, all were so many certificates of good habits. Insignia of the nobility with which nature honors those who are obedient to her laws, right? And when their ability and acquirements were tested by the king, at the close of the 3 years, check this out. The Bible tells us that nobody was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. their keen apprehension, their choice, their exact language, the extensive and varied knowledge that they had testified to the unimpaired strength and vigor of their mental powers. And so where are you today? Are you keen to represent God in your lives? It takes self-denial. It takes hard work. But at the end of the day, that hard work will be paid off by God Himself. And He will make you stand out above the rest so that you can reflect God today.